Hi, I'm Carl Montoya, co-founder of Nitro Gear and Axle, and I'm here to show you my 1987 Toyota Landcruiser HJ75 Troopy. It is from Australia originally. It's what they call a Trakka Bushman. Trakka was a company that outfitted Landcruisers in Australia for travel in the outback, kind of similar to like a Volkswagen Westphalia van, but something that could travel off-road, remote areas, etc. Bushman was the model. I acquired this about 4 years ago. It was already imported from Australia to the States, and I found it on an article on Expedition Portal. I thought it was pretty cool, and then one day I saw it for sale. It had a blown motor. I bought it sight unseen, had it shipped over here to the West Coast, where it went to Torfab for the motor swap, and we upgraded to a more modern drivetrain. My thoughts with this vehicle were, I'm obviously a diehard Toyota fan and have had numerous Landcruisers. This is something that you can off-road, run trails on. The top pops up and you can sleep in it, you can cook in it, you can camp in it. It's kind of a good all-purpose vehicle. For going to a lot of shows that are Toyota related, I could just hop in this, bring everything, and not have to tow a trailer, not have to bring a big RV. Just made it a lot of fun. I've taken it pretty much all over the West Coast, Western US, and down to Baja, California, and it's just been a great time. Well, one of my favorite places that I've taken it off-road is down near Moab. You know, I've gone to cruise Moab and double overnight Kokopelli run, and that's just a blast. I mean, it was pretty sweet to wheel all day long with a bunch of off-road vehicles and great people, and then we camp out at night. One night we had a crazy monsoon, and I had an easy up that was for the show I brought out, and we crammed like 20 people under it to stay dry to cook our dinner, and then everybody went to bed in their wet tents, and my wife and I just popped the top and turned on the heater and sipped wine, and we're in comfort. And then in the morning we're able to stand up, get dressed, you know, pack up and hit the trails again for more wheeling. So it really works good for that. The top deploys in about 20 seconds and the bed can stay made and everything, so it's really pretty user-friendly in that aspect. Well, so as mentioned, it's a 1987 Toyota Landcruiser HJ75. It was originally equipped with the 2H diesel, non-turbo, which was blown when I got it. We went with a more modern power plant, the 1HDFT, which is found in later model Toyotas. It's a 4.2 liter straight six. And we put an aftermarket turbo on it and intercooler. All that was done by Torfab in Everett, just here in Washington. Brand new H55 transmission, rebuilt transfer case. We went through the axles and did all the nitro goodies. Chromoly 3030 Burfield kit on the front, 410 ring and pinion, ARB air locker, rebuilt the knuckles, wheel bearings, did a front rage off-road rotor and hub kit, which widens the track 3 inches so we can run these modern wheels that have a lot of back spacing. They're a TRD Pro 4Runner wheels. On the rear we did the same, 410 gears, ARB air locker, but we went with the later style gear sets like are used on the 200 series Landcruisers, have a much larger tooth contact pattern, 32 spline pinion, allowed us to run the Nitro 32 spline axle conversion kit with the double spline axles with removable drive slugs. Gusseted both housings. We did Old Man Emu suspension, the full leaf packs, shackles, bushings, Old Man Emu BP51 bypass shocks, which have adjustable compression and rebound dampening, steering stabilizer, a heavy duty ARB Old Man Emu sway bar, and new drive shafts, ARB bumper, a worn 9.5 XP winch with synthetic rope and factor 55 thimble, the IPF intensity LED lights. Once we got going on all that stuff, it looked pretty good. It was kind of one of those rigs that looked great in all the pictures and looked good from 20 feet away, but then there was kind of some rust areas around the gutters and the pop top, and so we took it to a body shop to kind of address some of those areas and ended up going full in and They removed the pop top, reconstructed the whole roof structure, welded in quarter panels. I just wanted everything done, so stripped it down, gutted the interior, removed the windows, did all the window seals and everything. So it ended up being another year basically until I got to use it because of the body restoration. And along with that, we did a couple updates like the newer grille and the newer, larger mirrors. Just some things to freshen it up. A really nice window tint, which seems like not a big deal, but it's really nice to have when the vehicle's all windows and kind of like a fishbowl. We also did for armor, DC Fabrication, which is a small fab shop local to us that's helped us out on a lot of custom projects, built these awesome rock sliders for it. One of my favorite things is this bumper was made as a partnership with Cruiser Outfitters, which is one of the best Landcruiser shops out there, and Expedition 1, which is, you've probably heard of, a great bumper manufacturer. And they built these for the 70 series, and they're integrated with a turnbuckle that ties into the barn doors. So you can just single-handed operation, open the doors and shut them. So you got the tire carrier. This is actually a custom-built bike rack. It uses the Lolo bike rack mounting system, and it hangs the bikes from the handlebars, so I can put 2 bikes. It keeps them up high and out of the way, so you can still actually run on some trails, because a lot of my trips I do a mix of off-roading, mountain biking, and all types of things, so it's nice to be able to bring all that stuff with me. I guess we'll get to showing you some of the interior stuff. So when the interior was all stripped, we did the whole floor in it's a product called Lizard Skin, which is anti-heat, sound deadening. We did new vinyl flooring. One of the pinnacles of this vehicle for being able to drive an old vehicle long distances are these Shieldman seats. They're an orthopedic ergonomic seat that really helps keep you comfortable. When I picked this up from Goose Gear after doing the build up, it had these seats. I was coming out of a really bad tailbone injury, and on the way down there, it was horrible with the original seats, and on the way back, it was really not so bad with these seats. You can drive all day long. They're heated, you know, they're a nice modern looking seat, very sturdy. You know, there's bracketry that allows you to still slide them. They flip forward for access to the rear. Okay, so this is what it's like in the driver's seat. Very comfortable in the Shieldman seats. It's a right-hand drive car. Probably a lot of you haven't driven one. I actually hadn't really until I got this, and it's surprisingly easy to pick up. Within 20 minutes, your mind just automatically does it. The shifter works the same. You're going to shift left-handed. The pedals are still in the same position. Left is still the clutch, right is still the gas. The only thing that I do sometimes is the windshield wipers and the turn signals are opposite of what you're used to. So, you know, sometimes I'll go to make a turn and I flip on the windshield wipers. But that only happens if I haven't driven it for a while, and then if I drive this for a week and I drive a regular car, I might do that. But it does have AC, and that all works. You know, it's got heat. Standard manual controls, those have all been replaced as well. Bluetooth stereo, which at least you can listen to music and podcasts. Doesn't really work that great for having conversations going down the highway. It's not the most quiet vehicle. It's not the most loud vehicle, but we've got a boost gauge and a pyrometer, so you can monitor your EGTs and, you know, see your boost from your turbo. Here's the rear fuel tank gauge, and there's a switch here to switch between the main and auxiliary tank. There's a hand throttle down here that you can twist. So if you're going to winch or you're going to jump start somebody or something, you can crank up the idle here and put it back down when you're done. So we got your locker switches here. You got your compressor switch here. These are for the lights. There's a switch here for the glow plugs. It's actually not glow plugs. It's a heat grid in the intake, which is what the 1HDFT uses, and it is hooked up and functioning. This switch, where it says up and down, that's the switch for the solenoid to switch from the snorkel to the high volume airflow airbox. Switches for the heated seats. We got 2-wheel drive, 4 high, neutral, and 4 low right here for the transfer case. pretty simple. Doesn't get more simple than that. We did put on a locking glove box door for keeping your valuables secure, and the instrument cluster has been switched so that the gauges work with this engine. It has 174 740 on the odometer right now. That is not accurate. This vehicle came from Australia with who knows how many 400 and something thousand kilometers on it. But as you know, everything, literally almost every nut and bolt on this thing has been touched, and every mechanical component has been replaced or rebuilt. Okay, so this is one thing that makes the vehicle really cool, is converted into camping mode. Just has a couple latches and it's on struts. It goes right up in just a matter of seconds. So the interior was all built out by Goose Gear, who's well known in the industry for their modular drawers and kitchen type camping setups. So this one, rather than the standard utilitarian style, this has got a nicer, kind of more homey finish. It's got a nice grain to it. It's really lightweight, strong material, Baltic birch with aluminum frame. Really high quality drawer slides, latches that all stay shut and lock. They did an amazing job with it. It's got a floor plate system that uses the aircraft aluminum tie down slots. So which I've used when you have a bunch of gear in there that you want to strap down and keep it from bouncing all around while you're driving off-road. These cabinets, you can really hold a lot of stuff. I've got a portable toilet that stays in here, Cook Partner camp stove here. Underneath this, there's also storage. It flips up like this, and there's storage under here. There's a bunch of show gear. It's bigger than it looks because it goes out this way. There's storage here, and it really holds a lot of stuff. Drawers, a couple more drawers up here. The Dometic fridge, which is 12 volt, doesn't draw very much power. We've also got, you can't really see it, but it's powered by, there is an AGM battery tucked up under here. We have a custom built skid plate that it sits on top of, and that's also where the ARB dual air compressor is fitted. There's 2 solar panels on the roof that also help keep it charged while parked. The controller's got Bluetooth connectivity. The ARB compressor is plumbed into air tank that's underneath that has air chuck. So you can actually run air tools, compressed air, like air nozzle, whatever. You can see the solar panels up there. This is the 1HD FT engine. It was sourced by Jory, who is really well known in the Landcruiser community for sourcing diesel and import Landcruiser parts from Netherlands. I've got a couple motors from him for different projects, very well known. I don't know exactly how many miles it came with, but it was a low mileage engine, and freshened up a bunch of things like seals and gaskets and stuff like that while it was apart. AC's been recently serviced. We use these full throttle AGM batteries, so there's a huge amount of cranking power here. Aluminum radiator, PDI intercooler, you know, new stuff like master cylinder, battery switching solenoids. This is kind of a unique feature here. When Torfab did the engine swap, because with the aftermarket turbo it needs a lot more airflow, and the snorkel is designed for you know, stock setup, it doesn't flow as much air, so the air box is actually on a solenoid. So for normal highway driving, it pulls air from below, so it has plenty of airflow for as much as, you know, the turbo and the motor wants. If you wanted to go into a particularly nasty situation or a river crossing, you can hit a switch and it closes that solenoid and it'll pull from the snorkel. So kind of seems maybe a little over the top and silly, but it's actually functional, and that way we don't have a snorkel that's on the side of the vehicle for no reason. One bummer part is we did the motor swap and everything prior to all the body work, so it's not a frame off type restoration. So it's not clean fresh paint under the hood, because the motor was already swapped in when we did the rest of the body work, but the inside was all gutted and everything for that. So kind of the best we could do with the order in which we did things. Well, thanks for joining me on this long overdue walk around. This vehicle has been amazing. It's been kind of a pride of joy, a labor of love. It's really been fun over the past few years traveling around, and you know, a lot of people will come up and talk to you and ask you about it. Obviously, it's right-hand drive, so that's the first thing people seem to notice. But then, you know, with the pop top and things like that, I mean, it appeals to a pretty wide audience. You know, I have people with Volkswagens coming up that say that they wish they could get something like that because more reliable and more off-road worthy than a Vanagon, but still with the great camping ability. And that's kind of what the purpose was, I think, when Trakka set out to build these things originally. If you have any more questions or want to get any of these products, obviously all this stuff is available, nitro gear and axle. If you have any other questions, hit us up. You can find more info on the vehicle on Instagram @NitroGearCarl is my handle. Feel free to reach out to me directly if you have any questions.